Howdy, folks. Welcome back or welcome aboard. You are listening to the Doc Owen Show. We are on body time, 1 hour ahead of clock time. It's daylight outside. It's just not right. Anyway.
I know. We lost a whole hour.
I know.
That's a whole hour studying.
Glad you're here. We're going by clock time. That's the way things work, no matter whether we like it or not. The call-in number is working, 210-843-8859. We would love to hear from you. The only time you cannot call is during the interview that we're going to be playing back. But other than that, we'd like to hear from you. So if you got something to say, let's hear about it. We are all over the social media as Doc Owen Show, DOCOWENSHOW. On Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Pinterest. We even have a blog that is called DocOwenShow.com that is growing as we speak. And the best way, the absolute funnest way, and the easiest way is to download our free app for either iPhone or Android devices, and you can listen to the entire library at your leisure and in spurts or bits and pieces as you prefer. So get the app, get it on your phone, and listen to the Doc Owen Show, and more importantly, tell your friends about it. Last week I put out a call that we're on a hard charge to get to 5,000 Twitter followers, and I joyfully report that we've added approximately 90 to 95, almost 100 Twitter followers in this week's time.
That's pretty good.
So now we're banging up against 4,900, and it won't take us very much to push it over at all. So, and the 5,000th follower that registers, that comes in on Twitter, wins a huge prize. YUGE, as Donald Trump would say. Huge. A huge prize. All right. We got a very good show for you tonight. An excellent interview with a director of the the United States Border Patrol Association. And he lays it on the line. I think you'll enjoy it. He took me by surprise a couple of times with the facts and information that he's got. So, and his delivery is excellent. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a fellow by the name of Dave Ward. So listen up for that part. We always start the show in a very traditional manner. We're going to do it as always. Ms. Surefire will head off with a moment of inspiration. Uncle Bocce will give us this day in history, and I will close out the threesome with a leadership quote or something for you to think about. Ms. Surefire, take it away.
And tonight's quote comes from InsideOfTheDay.com. And it's from a gentleman that most of us know, B.B. King.
Woo-hoo! I'd have queued up some music.
Yeah.
My hero.
Yes. Anyway, his quote is, "The beautiful thing about learning is that no one can take it away from you."
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's
Once you got it, you got it. It's yours.
That's right.
Nice.
See what you're going to do with it.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Well done. Uncle Bocce?
Yes.
What happened not only this day in history, but what time was it when it happened?
What time?
Real time.
Well, you put me on a spot here.
Go ahead.
I'm lucky I know the date.
I'm still bugged about the daylight. I don't like that.
Okay.
Anyway.
We need a huge shout out tonight to a gentleman who was the 4th president of the United States, amongst other things. Happy birthday, James Madison. He was born in 1751.
Mr. Madison.
Died at the old age of 85.
Really?
So, and he was,
In his day, that was
that's a
really
lot.
old.
Yes.
Nowadays, they're just folks are just getting started. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah, second career.
yeah,
And he was like
they're learning how to snowboard at 83.
5 inches, 4 inches, 5 feet, 4 inches tall. A very little man.
Hey, careful.
I knew you'd love that one. Well, see, you're in the.
I'm 5'4¼ which means I still hold the title of the world's tallest midget.
There you go. There you go. Now, also on this day, in 1802, the military academy was established, which is now known as
West Point.
West Point. Yes, absolutely.
Go Navy. Beat Army.
Yeah.
Yay.
That's it?
That's it.
It's over to me?
Yes.
All right. This one kind of goes with what Emma said. The leadership tip of the day is from our friends at Crowned Grace International. Crowned Grace International Learning Labs, by the way. You should look them up. They have some really good programs. This is from Proverbs 4:23. Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life.
That's true.
That is really good.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Think about that one.
Yeah.
All right. Tonight's show, I've already mentioned it. We've got a fellow by the name of Dave Ward that'll be on in just a little while from the United States Border Patrol Association. We'll give you the wherefores and what ifs of who that is, but it's a really good conversation, I think. We're going to talk about the current state of affairs in the Border Patrol, who they are, what they do, as well as a fair bit about sanctuary cities. He was extremely knowledgeable about the topic and really wanted to dive into it. And then we're going to connect some dots. There's an awful lot going on. It is extremely frustrating. And the problem is they're just little pops here, there, yonder. This is going on. They're and unless somebody stops and connects all the dots for others who either don't have time or just aren't that interested, to see the bigger picture is what is so frustrating. Yeah. So we're going to try to paint that bigger picture for you tonight.
Yeah, get our eyes off that shiny object.
There you go. Quit chasing rabbits. But before we do that, we're going to go back in history. The last I remember, we spent some time on a fellow by the name of George Washington.
Yes, we did.
All right, and we're beyond that.
Yes.
Where are you going to take us tonight?
Tonight we're going to start a new series.
Oh.
And this is going to be the events leading to independence. Now, some of you may know this already because I mistakenly started this series a few months ago and had to backtrack. So if I'm repeating myself, that's okay. You'll learn more.
It was a few months ago, right?
Yeah, it was quite a while ago.
Okay.
Okay, so now talking about King George. King George III was eventually burned in effigy by the colonists. However, he had a really relaxed form of governing. He inspired little ire from the colonists in the 1760s. In the early 1760s.
Did he govern?
There wasn't much.
Did he govern at all, or did he leave them?
He just pretty much left them.
Okay.
He appointed governors and all that kind of stuff. But
that's what we call laissez-faire leadership.
I guess you can call it that.
Let them go. Yep.
Okay. And then in 1763, which is our starting point, nobody could have predicted 1776 that a revolution and independence would have been declared.
Well, no, it was 13 years. It was 13 years in the future.
Exactly.
And there was no internet.
There you go. Okay.
I don't think
the ingredients of discontent seemed lacking. At least on the surface, the colonies were really quite prosperous. They had no economic crisis.
How close? I'm sorry to keep interrupting you. How close was this to the close of the war, the French Indian War?
It was right after it.
Aha.
Yeah. That's what we closed with the French Indian War, and that told us a lot about where America was as far as the international struggle.
But that also explains how America felt about itself and its strength, its confidence.
People started coming together.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Unlike the Irish, there were no groups of American citizens that were clamoring for freedom from England based on national identity. I mean, they just weren't. Okay.
Okay.
Now, King George III, he was not particularly despotic, as I said before. Surely not to the degree of his predecessors. You remember some of the kings and queens prior to him, like King Henry?
Yeah.
Yeah, and all those guys.
Right.
They were very despotic. So there was no reason within the colonies to really have any animosity towards Britain. Furthermore, the colonies were not unified. Benjamin Franklin, at his discretion, he tried to get a unification of the colonies, even though some of it came to bear with the French and Indian War because we all fought together. But he tried to put together a unity plan called the Albany Plan of Union.
Okay.
Well, that was in 1754, and his plan, under the slogan "Join or Die," it would have brought the colonies together and the rivals together. Insert the commonalities they had with the threat of the French and Indian War. However, to Franklin's chagrin, this plan was soundly defeated. The colonies wanted nothing to do with it.
Well, think about the heritage of the colonies. From what you've taught us over the course of the last year, it seems like all of the colonies were a spinoff of some of the original colonies. And I mean, they went their way and formed their own group because they weren't happy being with.
Exactly.
They either weren't happy with,
particularly in New England. Yes.
In New England,
right.
Or the group that they were with ran them out.
Exactly.
So I mean, I can understand. And Franklin wanted to go back and put arms around everybody, where it was still fresh in their minds that no, we don't. No, you ran us off. Okay,
that's great.
All right, I'm just
So whatever happened to the American colonists, most of them were pretty much satisfied with being English subjects. Yeah, they just didn't want to break the ties, okay? There were forces that led men and women in the 13 different colonies set aside their differences and unanimously declared their independence. What happened? They were at each other's throats. The French and Indian War brought them back together a little bit. Benjamin Franklin tried to get them together. Nothing. So what happened? In the years between 1763 and 1776, the colonists felt unfairly taxed.
Okay.
They felt watched over like children.
Okay.
They were ignored in their attempts to address grievances,
right,
which is a very important part of our Constitution. Religious issues rose to the surface, the Great Awakening. Political ideals crystallized in these people's minds because they were reading and understanding the classics and the Enlightenment and the Great Awakening. And as always, economics were the essence of many debates. So all these things were going on in their minds. For their part, the British found the colonists unwilling to pay their fair share. Have you heard that before? Hey, bring it to today. Who is saying that? Okay. A little bit different situation, but still the same attitude. After all, citizens residing in England, they actually paid more taxes than the colonists did. Okay, so the British weren't very happy with that. So, the 1970 Boston Massacre was only one in a series of events that led American colonists to revolt against the Britain. Remember, this is in the short years between 1763 to 1776. This was not the first time that American colonists found themselves in dispute with Great Britain. But this time, the cooler heads did not prevail. Every action by one side brought an equally strong response from the other. The events during these important years created sharp divisions among the English people, among the colonists themselves, and between the English and the colonies. over time, the geographic distance between the colonies and England became more and more noticeable. In England,
the geographic difference.
yes, the geographic difference. They were like, over 3,000 miles away, the government was.
Okay.
Like it is in many places here in the United States.
Right.
So in England, the time to respond colonial provocations and to administer the area became very, very difficult to govern it and whatever.
Sure.
It was not easy from 3,000 miles away. And then further, some now question how it could be that a tiny island nation
Yeah.
could contain and rule the American continent.
Right. Right.
Before long, the point of no return was reached.
Right.
And here's a preview of what we're going to be looking at. Okay? We're going to be looking at the Royal Proclamation of 1763. This is Britain now.
Okay.
Okay? The Stamp Act controversy.
Yeah.
The Boston Patriots. We're going to look at some of those guys. The Townsend Acts. The Boston Massacre. A lot of people know about the Boston Massacre. They might not know these others. The Tea Act and Tea Parties. And the Intolerable Acts. And as an extra added bonus, we're going to look at some of the unusual and little known events leading to independence. So keep
That I'm looking forward to.
yes, yeah.
It's the little nuances that
Yeah,
you find
exactly.
out when you're doing the research.
Exactly. So that's where we're going to go.
Okay.
Okay, and I am Uncle Bachi. You can reach me at UNCLEBACI at DocOwenShow.com. We're waiting to hear from you. And don't forget, call in tonight, 210-843-8959. Or 8859, I'm
There you
sorry.
go.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
8859.
I'll print bigger next time.
No.
Thanks,
Okay.
Uncle Bachi.
You're welcome.
Thank
That's
you,
good,
Uncle
man. That's
Bachi.
fun. That's
That
all.
was good.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
It helps. It helps connect the dots, and it also helps to see that. As I was told by a lawyer one time, of all our worries, large and small, most of them never come to pass at all. So it brings into focus what we're dealing with today, going back, to the 1750s.
Yes, it does.
A couple of hundred years ago, 240 or whatever it is. Some things have never changed about the American spirit. Let's put it that
exactly.
way.
That's a
about
good way to put it.
About the American spirit.
About the American spirit, exactly.
What is America? That's a very difficult question to
It
answer.
really is, and I hope you guys are getting that, because that's what the whole effort here, as far as teaching history is concerned, is what is America? What is the American?
That's exactly right. What's our history? What's our collective history? Which is why I will hit the soapbox every once in a while when we're talking about immigration, illegal immigration, et cetera, et cetera. It's not about not wanting people to come to this country, because that's what this country's built on. But it's about assimilation. It's about becoming an American. It's about understanding what America is and why it is.
Amen.
And coming over the right way.
Please join us. We would love to have other Americas around the world.
Yes.
But it's not an easy thing to do. It wasn't our forefathers. It's still not easy.
It's not.
Anyway, don't want to get on good job.
Good.
Prompted a lot of thought. I don't know whether I want to connect some dots or I want to dive straight into the conversation. Let's connect some most recent dots.
Okay.
And then we'll take a break. Then we'll come back and finish it off a little bit. You are aware, I would hope that you're aware, that there are all kinds of rocks and sticks and stones and roadblocks and landmines, whatever you want to call them, being thrown in the path of the current administration to try to coalesce into a good administration, a governing body, and get things done which we voted this administration in to do. I have been around for quite a number of years and been paying attention to politics for well over 50. This is ridiculous. I have never seen anything like it on a local, on anywhere, much less on a national scale. I mean, it boggles the mind. For instance, President Trump, say it with me, President Donald J. Trump.
Yes.
Our current president, Donald J. Trump, came out with a second version of holding some of the less desirable people from known terrorist hotbeds, 6 countries, until they get a proper vetting process or until they can assure us that who they're shipping over here is who they say they are and has a good background and has at least a willingness to attempt to assimilate. He wanted to put all of that on hold. For the second time, a federal judge smacked it down and put the entire thing on hold until it can work its way through the courts, right?
Right.
Are you aware of where that federal judge, that the first one was the 9th District Court up in the Great Northwest somewhere.
Washington State.
Washington State, a huge liberal stronghold. Do you know where this next judge is?
I do.
Where?
Hawaii.
Do you know where the previous president calls his birthplace and his home?
How interesting.
Are you aware that Mr. Obama just happened to drop in Hawaii 48 hours before this judge gave his rendering?
You're kidding.
No.
I did not know that.
And had lunch
How sinister.
5 minutes from the guy's office.
Oh, just like the tarmac, huh?
And exactly. Exactly like Clinton and the Department of Justice Queen, Loretta Lynch. But it's just pure coincidence. Just, it's like the salesman that drives across 6 states and goes in the front door of a customer he wants to sell and say, well, hey, how you doing? I just happened to be in the neighborhood and thought I'd drop by. Bull sugar. Connect the dots. I mean, that is not a coincidence. And the ruling is not a coincidence as a result. That's just one dot. The other dot, now we've got Trump, what was it, probably 2 weeks ago now, that he was talking about being bugged, right? And now the authorities, I believe that both the FBI and the NSA have come out and said that they could find no evidence of Trump Towers being wiretapped.
Key word, wiretapped. Go ahead.
Another, but even more key, by an element of the United States government.
Okay.
All right? In other words, we don't see where anybody from the United States government did this. All right? And yet, a fairly trusted source on the media, Judge Napolitano, that you've corrected my pronunciation
that's
of,
right.
has 3 sources, 3 separate, unique, distinct sources that are telling him that it wasn't the federal government that did the surveillance. It was the British. And the request came directly from Obama to the British so that there would be no laws broken and no footprint to be found by the other agencies.
So in other words, setting Trump up.
Hugely.
Right?
Consistently.
Sinister.
Constantly. So now let's do the interview with the Border Patrol, Mr. Dave Ward. And then when we come back, while those two things, and now I've given your brain something to think about, you think about some other dots that happen to have caught your attention over the past 50 days plus that he's been in office. A protest here or an attack there or et cetera, and see if you don't start adding all these dots up to a major, as far as I'm concerned, ill-advised pushback on the president. Okay? So we're going to listen to a conversation that I had with Dave Ward. Hit the button. I am about to have a conversation with a young man by the name of Dave Ward, who is a director. I don't know that it's the director. We'll find out in just a second because he'll have an opportunity to correct me. Of the National Association of Former United States Border Patrol, which means that, and they are very actively in support of those in current service. So I guess once in the Border Patrol, always in the Border Patrol. Is that right, Mr. Ward?
Oh, absolutely. We've always got the green going on.
There you go. So is it a director or the director?
No, I am one of the directors.
Okay.
We have 6 of us that are directors on the board.
Okay. Before I forget about it, Ms. Surefire reminded me that they're having a border security conference in San Antonio coming up in April. Do you know if you guys are going to be represented? You're going to have a booth there?
Well, I haven't been contacted about it, but I'll check with our director, our chairman. But we should have somebody there. Yeah,
it'd be a lot of fun. So we will be down there. So if you guys find out you're going, I'll make sure that we make connections.
That'd be wonderful.
I'll buy you a San Antonio beer.
That sounds great to me, Doc.
So tell the audience about the National Association, and then we'll get into a little bit about the new lease of life that the active duty personnel seem to be going through right now.
Yeah, the NEF VPO has been around for several years. We are retired Border Patrol agents that were managers, supervisors, commissioners, chief of the patrol. We have a multitude of people involved in this, and our primary purpose is to advocate for secure borders, for immigration enforcement in the interior, and to try and make this happen and facilitate it by meeting with our congressmen and senators and lobbying for the agents out in the field.
So you guys have got the time and the expertise. So basically, you work as a pro-American lobby. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely, we do.
Because lobbyists tend to have a bad name, but that doesn't mean that they're all on the bad side of what we're trying to do in this country.
Well, they can be. We are actually agents that have retired, and
right.
Our purpose is to make sure the laws go through as they were written.
There you go, and to make sure probably to make sure that Congress understands what you're dealing with, that they get true facts.
That's exactly true.
Because you can't always depend on others to deliver that information correctly.
No, it's coming straight from us, and we are in contact with our troops out in the field on a daily basis to see what exactly is going on and how we can help them to facilitate their jobs out in the field to make it more the country safe for our citizens.
Right. Do you get involved at all? And this is something that the gentleman that put us together is a former agent, Jim Gibson, and I'm always asking him. Our target audience is like 16 to 30 years old. Not that we don't talk to them exclusively, but that's kind of who we're after, and we try to lean things that way. Does your association get involved at all with what I would call recruiting, or is there a youth group? How do you get folks involved at the opening end of the process of getting involved with the Border Patrol?
Well, the Border Patrol itself, the active duty, does do recruitment programs around the country at various affairs, whether it be conventions or county fairs and the like. We, as the NFBPO, does not get involved with the recruiting aspect of it, although we are there to lend advice or give people information as they need for our young people to understand what the Border Patrol really is. And it's a great thing that you have, having young men and women listening to your show that are in that age group that we recruit from, and the service they could provide for the country as honorable, law-abiding citizens. It would be a great experience for those that wish to do it.
I agree with you. That's the reason I always bring it up, because I think it's a great service to be involved with. I'm an ex-Navy guy, but always had, let's put it, a lot of respect for the Coast Guard, which is from my way of thinking, similar to what you're doing. You're kind of the land version of that, and as you put it, taking care of the interior. So,
well, I was Coast Guard before I went Border Patrol.
Good for you. So you know exactly what.
Oh yeah, I do.
So and
we've been around that block a couple times with the shallow water sailors thing.
Exactly. So I didn't mean for that jab to hit so close to home.
It's
That's
all
funny.
good.
It is all good.
It's all good.
But it's a hand-in-hand thing. All of the different elements, even though they may report up through, various channels, they all need to work together. And that's something that I over the course of the years, it seems to sort of have an ebb and tide to it, the cohesiveness, and it's based on entirely on what administration is in charge and how they feel about it, and how how they help. The administration the executive branch can really facilitate your capabilities, or they can hinder it.
It can be a complete detriment depending on which administration's in power.
Yeah, if they try to work in silos, as we put it in the business world, if they try to get the military, the various, what I would call military, the various law enforcement structures is probably a better term, to work in silos, it doesn't work. It's not in the best interest of anybody, as far as I can tell.
Well, it's not. And, even with the Department of Homeland Security, when it was founded back in 2003,
right,
it's had nothing but problems, because once they disbanded INS, which was actually a cohesive group of specific agencies, Border Patrol, Immigration Inspections, Citizenship and Immigration Services, adjudications, and, of course, investigations. They work tightly together. They'd walk across the hall if they needed an investigation done. Now it's dealing with a completely different agency, which is it's beyond it's beyond logic, is what's happened to this. So they're all separate entities now within the Department of Homeland Security. They do not work together.
Wasn't the intent that I thought DHS was put together so that they would work better?
Under the 9/11 Commission,
right.
That exactly was because the agencies were not talking, and that's why we ended up getting attacked on September 11th.
Right.
So the whole idea was for the FBI and all the other agencies to work together. Well, what happened is that they actually destroyed a lot of cooperation within what used to be immigration.
Oh.
Now Border Patrol agents have to beg, borrow, and steal to see if they can get a criminal investigator to help them. Or, here's one for you, in Citizenship and Immigration with CIS, which is where your naturalization is derived from, last year it was found that over 850 individuals were naturalized.
Yeah.
But it turned out that every one of them had a warrant of deportation, and what they did, they just changed their names. CIS has no way to go to immigration investigations, like walk across the hall, and then have these people investigated. So what happens is they're adjudicated, and then you have these felons that actually become citizens from special interest countries, and those special interest countries are Middle East.
Yeah. That hit the news. That incident right there you're talking about, I remember being in the news. And to those of us on the outside, it is, you used the term, I think, incomprehensible. I mean, to those of us on the outside, you're all one unit. I mean, we look to and so I hear the frustration in your voice. What can we do? Lobby our congressman, do what we do as activists, let's say. And
ideally immigration would be put back together like it was, because it did function. Now it doesn't function.
Okay.
I mean, look. I mean, just open up the papers and see what's going on.
Yeah.
It's proof. It does not work.
Well, did it? You mean put it back together outside of DHS or still
Yes.
underneath or outside of
No.
DHS?
Just remove it from DHS and go back to under the Department of Justice where it was,
Okay.
and work as a joint unit.
Yeah.
But
I would think the more direct contact you had with DOJ, the better for sure.
well, yeah, because we do a lot of criminal prosecution.
Yeah.
There's a misnomer out there with even the young people that are listening to the program that illegal immigration isn't a crime. Well, it is.
Yeah.
Just stepping across the border without inspection is a criminal act.
Yeah.
Now, there's also administrative acts. You know, if you come into the United States illegally, you can be deported. But in addition to that, there's also a criminal charge that can be applied to anybody coming into the United States illegally from a foreign nation, and it's under 8 U.S.C. 1325. So it is a criminal prosecution just coming into the United States. So what these left-wing livers are saying that there's no crime involved, there is a crime involved.
Of course, there's a crime involved. That's also why they try to do away with the term illegal. I mean, they'll call them anything but an illegal alien because the illegal part of that terminology tips their hand. I mean, it gives away everything of their case. And there's a lot of us in Texas that have a saying of what is it about the word illegal that you don't understand?
well, you know something else, Doc. A lot of these youngsters out there do not realize, and I'm going to put money on it, that some of them that are listening right now are actually bankrupt and they don't know it. And I'll tell you why they don't know it.
Okay.
When they were young babies, Social Security numbers were issued to their name. Those Social Security numbers were sold out to vendors around the United States that sell fraudulent documentation. And those numbers have been used for years and years and years and years to get credit cards, to get houses, whatever, and then defaulted and bankrupt on. When those kids go to apply for credit and their Social Security numbers run, you guess what's going to happen?
David.
They're not going to get anything because their number's already gone.
How long have we known about this?
For years and years and years. But you get the politicians in there that try and shut this down, and it's our job to keep it going because they don't understand. And I really want the young people to understand how serious a problem this is.
And see, that's huge. I had no idea. I had no idea. I love it when I learn something. Because when I was growing up, probably a little older than you, we got our Social Security number, if I remember, either when we got our first job, 15, 16, whatever it was when we got our first job, or 18 when you signed up for the draft, when you
well, now there'd be an issue when they get their birth certificates.
Oh, and unbelievable. Why?
And that's not the worst of it.
What's their logic? Why are they doing that? Other than selling,
They're trying to dumb people down to think it's a victimless crime when in fact people are devastated by illegal immigration. Here's another one for you, Doc. Take an adult. Take Joe Smith. Makes $48,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Files his taxes on time. A couple months later, he gets a letter from the IRS. He owes a lot of money for unreported income. And it turns out this unreported income is well over $280,000 because 5 different people or 6 people or whatever that number's been sold to have also been using that Social Security number for their job. Of course, they're not filing on taxes. This poor guy's filing taxes on his Social Security number, but all these people worked under that Social Security number and made an exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah.
Now this guy's responsible for it, and he's going to fight with IRS saying, hey, I wasn't in Chicago, I was down in San Antonio.
Got to prove it wasn't him.
It.
Yeah. And I wish you a lot of luck with that. I've had my run-ins with him. So,
but this is what happens, and that's why the young people that are listening to your show need to wake up and pay attention to what really is going on, and not what the politicians and the left-wing media has been feeding them.
No,
it's appalling what's going on out there.
Yeah, they need to think all the way through it. And I I definitely tell them that all the time. It's they don't want to think that way. You know what I'm saying? I remember, and I'm sure you do too. When we were 15 and 16, we did not want to have a jaded view of the world. That was for old people. That was for old people. But I don't think that it's optional anymore, particularly with the internet and the connectivity that we have. These young folks are going to have to grow up a lot sooner than we did.
Right, and they're going to have to fight for themselves now.
Yep. Man, that's no fun at all. So, are we doing anything about this as a country? Or are any of the agencies in the federal government trying to clean any of this up or acknowledging that it exists?
Let me tell you how bad it is.
Yep.
Social Security Administration will not give ICE information. IRS will not give ICE information to go ahead and prosecute these people. They internalize everything and nothing gets done.
Right. Because they're caught with their pants down and they don't want to acknowledge it. And if they
not only that, they think it's a victimless crime. Although you can prove it time and time again, they don't want it. They don't want the political correctness to come out about this, because you're going to hear about the immigrant bashing left and right because of this, and they shut it down. But the thing of it is, that's exactly what is going on. There was a woman that I ran a criminal investigations office out in Utah, and she came to us about information. She tried to open up a bank account and couldn't do it because her Social Security number had been used, and bankruptcy was declared on that number, so she couldn't open up a bank account. So we did some research and found out it was an illegal alien, or rather a permanent resident, who had stolen her number, used her number, bought a house, declared bankruptcy, the whole 9 yards. It turns out he had his own Social Security number that was legally issued, but he used her number to screw her over, so he didn't have to, to pay the repercussions of what he'd done.
Right, right.
And this is what's going on.
Oh, man. I don't, you've almost left me speechless. I mean,
you want to talk about sanctuary cities next?
Yeah, let's do that. I love it. Yeah, go for it.
Well, let's have some fun on this. Now, you have a bunch of police officers, chief of police and sheriffs out there that signed into the sanctuary city movement. Well, first of all, those are not cops, as far as I'm concerned, because they advocated their oath of office that they took. I've taken an oath of office I'm in, and it never expires. I know a lot of cops out there feel the same way, but you've got these political types that they just swear on the Bible, and then they do what they want once they get the job.
Sure.
Now, these sanctuary cities, there's well over 500 sanctuary cities in the United States.
I saw that number last night. Yep.
Okay. So now DHS has a map of all these sanctuary cities around the United States, and it's, of course, the metro areas and things like that.
Sure.
Now, coincidentally, the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, has a map. They have a map of all the cities in the United States that are influenced by the drug cartels and transnational crime organizations.
Okay.
If you get their map and overlay it, the DHS map of sanctuary cities, are one and the same.
I'm sure I'm sure it's almost it's 100% fit. Well, there may be a few sanctuary cities that aren't in the cartel mix, but not many. Certainly, all the major metropolitan areas are.
No, most of them are, because it's a safe haven for illegal activity by foreign nationals. Now, think about this: the heroin epidemic in the United States. The United States is not known for its poppy fields. It's not known for its cocaine plantations.
That's right.
It's all coming from Mexico, because once Obama got into office, the shift from Southeast Asia heroin went to Mexico because they saw a booming business right there. So they got into the poppy cultivation and heroin production in Mexico, along with the cocaine. They have come up to the United States bringing this, and it's so cheap because it's so plentiful. Now, why is it so plentiful if we have secure borders? Well, we don't have secure borders.
No way.
And people need to get their heads out of their butt and understand we do not have secure borders.
No.
So the heroin's so cheap, people are getting involved in it. And now in the rural areas around the country, we have young people, the type that are listening to your show right now, getting involved in heroin because it's so plentiful, because of sanctuary cities giving them the protection to operate their illegal crime organization conduct out of there.
And they know it's going on. That's what bothers me. I mean, the authorities are not stupid. They have the ability and seem to be exercising it to turn a blind eye. I do not understand, other than the fact that if they think they are getting voters, I don't buy their version of, well, the rest of the public won't cooperate with us if we, start busting all the illegals.
The listeners need to ask themselves, what good does a sanctuary city do for a U.S. citizen?
Yeah.
Ask Kate Steinle and all the other people that have been murdered.
There are so many stories. Yep. That's exactly right.
Sanctuary cities do nothing but for it's a compound. It's a protection for illegal aliens from foreign countries.
Well, absolutely it is. It's like the old westerns I watched growing up. There was always a hole in the wall gang, and they had a sanctuary city that they ran to that was completely lawless.
They will not work with ICE. You have down there in Harris County, you got that sheriff down there that has declared her sanctuary proponent.
Oh, the one in Austin.
Is it Austin?
It's our state capital.
Yeah.
And
congratulations.
Yeah. I mean, I've been saying for years and years, the only good thing about Austin being the state capital is it's in the center of the state and it's surrounded by Texas.
Well, thank God for that. But they're getting out of control down there.
Oh yeah, no, the lady that's having the fight with the mayor, and now they're right there in Austin. She's fighting with the governor himself, and just as defiant as she can be. I don't understand why why don't they just lock them up? But that's just me, and that's why I'm on the radio and not in politics. I'm not known for my political correctness.
Well, that's a blessing.
I agree. I always said if I ran for office, I would be called the unquotable candidate. If you wanted to know how I felt about things, you just have to attend one of my rallies because they sure won't put it in the paper. I think we're coming pretty close to that with our current administration, but that's another story. I have really, I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. You have certainly brought some things to light that then make me think about, well, I bet this is happening, and I bet that is happening. I want to do this again, if that's okay with you.
It would be my pleasure, Doc.
I mean, I really would like to, because you're exactly what the audience needs to hear, a very straight shooter. And that,
well, thank you very much.
That counts for a lot. So I owe Mr. Gibson one for putting the two of us together.
Well, I wish all your young listeners out there to look into getting into the Border Patrol or into Immigration and Customs Enforcement, because we need good young people in the branches to serve their country in this way as law enforcement officers protecting our nation.
I think it's a very honorable thing to do. So, I will certainly do my best to help with the recruiting.
Excellent.
Thank you very much, Dave. I hope to talk to you soon.
You will.
Take
care, Doc.
See you later. Bye. Dave Ward, I hope you enjoyed that as much as we enjoyed having the conversation. It's certainly a lot of food for thought. So, on that high note of entertainment, let's go back to connecting some dots. He did a pretty good job of connecting dots himself.
Yes, he did. Excellent job. Like you said, he brought up things that make you think.
Yep.
You know what thought has come to my mind?
This is dangerous, but go ahead.
Life in the United States would be so much simpler and so much more prosperous if we would get the current government the hell out of our way. Thank you.
The next headline is, you'll like this. I had this on the top of the stack. Trump orders overhaul of executive branch.
There you go.
Really?
Yes. Others have tried, but what Trump is doing differently is he has chartered the audit department of the government, not the heads of the departments, but the auditors.
Awesome.
To go through each and every branch and determine what can be done to make them more efficient and to prove that they should still exist.
I had not heard
Nice.
that. That's the best thing I've heard.
Do away with
week.
the duplication. Do away with, all kinds of. That's why he's doing everything that he's doing around the. Do you know that he sent? I want to get the number right. I think it's 50 new judges, 50 federal judges to oversee the backlog in immigration and get it cleaned up.
Did he?
He dispersed, he reassigned 50 of his existing federal judges to these immigration courts to clean up that backlog. I mean, he's going at it like a businessman. He's got a project here, and he's got a major backlog. And the first thing, besides building the wall's not going to do you any good unless you've cleared out the backlog of all the illegals that are already here, as well as stop any more from coming in for a period of time. You just got to, it's the old, stop the train, so we can see what's on there. So he's keeping them from coming in. He's going to clean out the backlog of the ones that are here, and at the same time probably be constructing the wall so that when all of that is over and we know who's on what base from where, then we can start literally to make some sense out of it. But yes, he's ordered a complete audit of the executive branch.
That's great. That's great.
Well, but the challenge is connect the dots. That's only part of the problem. I'm here to tell you, Mr. and Mrs. Audience, both sides are acting in their best interest and not ours.
Amen.
Never have been or have not been for a long, long time.
Exactly.
All right? That's why they don't like Trump, because Trump represents us, we the people. He says it all the time, and I think it is genuine. He doesn't like them either.
No, he doesn't.
That's why he ran for office. He just, he had it. He's like us, only he has a little more money, which is that was absolutely hilarious what Rachel Maddow did.
Oh my!
I can't
what
believe
a
it.
doofus!
Got the scoop. The guy, the only thing that I learned from that, Trump needs better accountants. he's paying way too much in taxes. Thank you, Donald. We appreciate it. What do you know? Let's connect a dot of, they're not in it for us. What was it? What was the whole deal on the Republican or the conservative side? And by the way, the phones are still open, 210-843-8859. We would love to hear from you and you only got 2 minutes to call, so get her done. Let's try to connect one more dot having to do with health care and what is now being called Ryan Care, right? The CBO came out and said, another 24 million people are going to lose health insurance. It's going to reduce the debt, which is what he's going to hang his hat on, right? And they're telling us that this is only phase one and all the pain is up front. And phase two and phase three that go on later on in life, the next 10 years, are going to make it all fine.
There is no phase two or phase three. I'm sorry.
They'll do something else in the meantime.
Remember amnesty under Reagan?
They'll do something in the meantime.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the solution to health care in a nutshell, and I've been saying it forever. Health care, first of all, needs to be taken away from the government. They got no business being in it whatsoever in any way, shape, or form.
Yahoo!
All right. Number two, it needs to be taken away from the companies. It is not a perk. And because what happens is the health insurance company now has the health insurance industry now has the company as their customer, not the patient. The patient is not the customer.
There you
go. And until the patient goes back to being the customer, it wasn't that long ago. My dad, it wasn't that long ago. I was in high school. You follow me? That everybody had to have their own insurance, and then one company started it, and it became a recruiting tool, and everybody else followed suit. And as for the individual, I think you'd be better off if the company quit deducting and quit providing and go get your own, and you become the customer, you tell the insurance company what you want. That's what's called free market.
Amen.
And that's where it needs to go, is all the way back to the individual. I hope you have enjoyed this show tonight. I think we've got maybe 10 or 15 seconds left. We always have a good time bringing it to you. Front row. Time to go. You have been listening to the Doc Owen Show. Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. Now go out there this week and take care, pay attention, and God bless.
Bye-bye, folks. God bless.